Okay, friends, with my squeaky, squeaky camera stand, y'all. Listen, come in here. It's just, you know what? I was thinking about it today, and true to how we've been talking about, I had a different routine today. Hey, listen, time out. Hey, thank you so much for being here. Come on in the room, tap in, let's get connected. Thank you for for whatever reason, right, that your algorithm landed you here today, friend. Thanks for being here. If you are my soul family, my tribe, my gang, my squad, thank you. Y'all, I guess we're just connecting throughout the portal that is leading us up to the end of the retrograde. We're going through this preparation. It's going to be the new moon tomorrow. You know, between today and tomorrow, you can be doing banishing, cleansing, release, meditative, extra time in nature, really focused on coming through certain portals, setting new intentions. You know, we've been talking about this, but I was like, wow. Spirit really just has us holding each other's hands, like, hold my hand. We've really been talking it out. We've really been talking it out. You know what it makes me think of, y'all? It makes me think of, like, I just realized I don't have my, hold on, you guys. I just realized I don't have my torchy torch. Hold on. Hold on, friends. I don't think we're going to do a candle. Yeah, because the thing is, I love to have a beautiful candle burning over here for the aesthetic. But it's the way that my desk is up. It will get heat. I have like LED lights and stuff under here too. It'll get heat up under there, y'all. But anyway, listen. We're going to do a little smudge. I feel, you know what I feel into while I'm smudging here? I'm going to call in our ancestors, our spirit team, our guides, both galactic and earthbound, divine, God, goddess, source, you know, oneness of all being and love and connectedness and divine sovereignty, all those things. That's what we call in. We anchor in messages and activations and hold a channeled space to be of service to the highest and best good, okay? We set intentions to connect with health, wealth, manifestation, abundance, prosperity, healing, expansion, alignment, clarity, mental peace. Okay, listen, you know the vibes over here. Now that we've set our intention, we're burning our Palo Santo, right? You know what it feels like? It's like this uneasiness in my chest. And when I tap into it, and I was like, I've told you this before. And I always move in accordance with the energy. Well, I will say this. I'll probably always mindfully set an intention to, like for us to come in here and tap in together, for the new moon and the full moon. But for the most part, you know what? I flow with how the energy calls me. And you can tell, like, if you've been hanging out with me for some years, you know, I do go through phases where, like, I'll only do like one video a week or whatever. It just depends on how spirit is flowing, how the channel space is being activated. You know, it's such an interesting mix though right now. And I know you're like, we've jokingly said to each other, like, I've been wearing this hat all morning, you guys. It's not just we're getting ready to close out this retrograde portal. You know, it's not just any time frame. It's this whole flux of a flush out, like right before we really hit spring equinox, you know, and it's such a beautiful alignment. And I'm going to double check myself. Excuse me. Let me pull up the Mars astrology, my little tab where I have the notes on it. Because when does the Mercury retrograde end? Because if I remember correctly, you know, we stay looking at the charts, but if I remember correctly, I think it'll be basically like new moon in Pisces, which is like a tomorrow nighttime new moon. So that means like whatever time zone you're in, wherever you're at on this beautiful earth, or of course we're in the US here in the Southeast on Eastern time. So wherever you're at, right, it could be a new moon tomorrow evening, which would fall on the 18th, or the next day would be the 19th, right? And then boom, March 20th to 21st, Aries season begins. Spring equinox comes in, but I'm trying to remember. Yeah, see, I thought Mercury is going to station direct on the 20th. So it's like this big, beautiful energy. And, you know, when I connect to the energy, I think it is, we have a tendency, because we get caught up in the nature of kind of the way that the collective is, I want to say, growing into a different way of being and understanding how time-space continuums work and what is linear time and how do I want to move in the flow of my energy every day. You know, we've been talking about that because we're going to call it doing your Virgo homework. I feel like, I think we said that about the water trines a lot. We're just like doing the water work. So this is the South Node. This is the Virgo homework, right? Because I've been talking about this. Shout out to my close, tight-knit soul sisters and mamas and aunties. We chit-chat with each other here and there. We catch up, we connect, we do readings, we do whatever. And I know that other people are feeling this. Shout out to my auntie, my mama, one of my besties, right, Miss Cindy. And I will say Pisces, just for her. I will say that. Because we just keep talking about these different Virgo 6th house daily routine embodiment ideas and cycles of the ecliptic. While the South Node has been in Virgo. But mind you, this is what I pointed out to, if it helps you to go back further. And I'm not saying for limerence or in an unhealthy way, but I'm saying to observe patterns. Let me tell you a secret as a side note too. If you have found your way here, your algorithm, your spirit, your higher multidimensionality of self has led you there to here. You know, it's really a timeless moment energetically. But if you found your way here and you're new, thank you for being here. But, you know, we always talk about, okay, and honey, like child, sweetness, you know, he, she, them, they, we love everybody over here, love and light. My friend, listen, you're in a very Aquarius space. Okay. I got a big, wild, free Aquarian chart. Okay, honey, we got 4 big planet placements in Aquarius over here. So what you going to say? You'd be like, there she goes on about a pattern. There she goes on about reflecting and am, okay, and will and do. Okay, you understand? When I really feel into the energy, and I'll always kind of stop as a caveat because we love to get our salad bowl on over here. We love to talk about quantum. We love to talk about science. We love to get into psychology over here. We love to do our spiritual channeling. We love it. We are so multidimensional and multifaceted, and we need a blend of things. We also need things that keep us grounded into reality and you know, practicing balance and harmony, while we are also very mystical and spiritual and non-energetic, multifaceted, right? Multidimensional beings. We are also very much having an earthly body. And so I'm just saying, when I talk about pattern recognition, I'm not talking about limerence. I'm not talking about let's go live in the past, because a lot of people will try to gaslight the fuck out of you, to just be quite honest. They'll say, I don't do that. Self-awareness is good. You can't, okay, in order to get to a place, if you want to evolve in your life, call in new timelines, resonate and magnetize new frequencies, make new plans, choose new patterns, meet new people, etc., etc. You feel the vibe that I'm talking about? This is what this Aries newness wants to bring in for us. Okay? But we have to... Everyone, because listen, I think we're kind of tearing into this side message spinoff here, because this Virgo homework is very much... I have good Virgo people in my life. I read for a Virgo person I'm close to. I have a good friend who's Virgo, you know, IRL. To me, it's all real life, but I digress. I'm saying, I always get it with heavy Virgo energy because it's so similar to Aquarius in a lot of ways. We recognize patterns. We do not miss a single detail. We're peeping the energy. We see the loop. What is that? That reel, or that, I think it's actually a song, but everyone keeps using it. It's like, break the loop today, or the pattern, or the pattern repeats tomorrow. This is what I'm hearing. And so I feel that we're in this beautiful energy as we get ready to flow into welcoming in spring equinox. And let me tell you the most uncomfortable work. The most uncomfortable work is when you really take a deep breath and you go, we're all going to be feeling anxiety in our bodies and self-reflecting on patterns and choices that you make, things you do or don't accept. I really don't even want to push it out to other things, because accepting something means that we're talking about what other energies are bringing to you. What I want to talk about is very much like self-awareness leading you to evolution when you start making different choices. Is that this Virgo homework is so important. I would encourage you to go back to other collective messages, because we've talked about, I just don't have all that up right now, but it came through in another message where we were channeling, we were talking about, we're walking out. Eclipse portals teach you over a long period of time, and the nature that propaganda style social media and reels and quick drip, it programs your brain, and you think in little bits and pieces. But in all actuality, astrology is bigger levels of cycles, just like the labyrinth of like doing alchemical living, doing sabbatical seasonal living, following, I don't even want to call, let's just say astrology. We won't even talk about spirituality and mysticism. It's more of a way of being and looking at things. We'll just say astrology. It's just like looking at the weather patterns. You know what I'm saying? There is a time where you step back and you will. I'll tell you what, I feel like lately we rotate between, you'll have days, and I'm sure you relate, where you have these days and you maybe feel a lot of anxiety in your body. Then there'll be days where you're shedding and maybe feeling through and releasing a lot of grief. There will be days where it's like everything is triggering you. All of these things are lessons to kind of help you glean out the wisdom from your emotional body, perhaps from patterns of ways you've been living. But I think we will all be releasing like a lot of anxiety that we're feeling and trying to get grounded, returning to breath work and saying, so listen, I know, and I say this all the time, guys, I know that like, if I'm feeling the anxiety, if I'm feeling the energy, and it's so funny because, listen, I was like, you know what, I'm going to take a break today. But sometimes that's me. And yeah, I have to have boundaries. I'll have times where I only post one video all week or whatever. I'm also doing my tarot school community writing and work. Excuse me. I have side projects where I create items. I'm doing the things. But it was funny because I felt, I'm in the process, and here's my Virgo homework. Maybe we can compare notes. We all have our different Virgo homework right now. South Node, releasing toxicity and perfectionism, changing of routines, things that we just try to keep cramming a round peg into a square hole and saying, hey, X, Y, and Z is not working. The person, the pattern, let's not say, for some reason, Spirit keeps guiding me to say, don't reach out to other people. Don't push out of yourself. Okay, this connects back to the Pisces vibe of going within. Because everything starts within us first. It's like a groundedness in selfhood. Spirit is saying groundedness in selfhood. And this reminds me of when I did a channeled message, and I type a lot of notes. I write in my journal. I have my notepad on my phone. But for some reason, I always went back to delete this, because sometimes I'll type it on my notepad. Like I'll say, oh, I keep writing this message down on my phone, but I want to talk to collective about it. And so I'll go put it on my notepad so that when I'm here talking to you guys, or I pull up a chart or whatever, I'll look over there. And I I'm a notepad keeper. That goes back to working in the corporate world. Me and my notepad, we stay real tight, like stuff that needs immediate attention. It'll be on my notepad. So I'm constantly glancing at it up on my computer screen, right? So I kept going to delete this, and I was like, it's not time to delete this yet. It's just not time. Now I'm drawn back to it. Downloads coming in about how we do things. Hello, that's a very sixth house. That's very Virgo. That's very what's your daily routine? What's your daily health routine? What's your daily meditation? If for some reason Spirit's showing like a doctor, but writing a prescription to go outside, or writing a prescription to detox, or writing a prescription to take a break from, let's say, internet connectivity. Well, we have to do our jobs, but I'm saying more like in social ways, or in like mindless scrolling type ways. So I'm drawn back, and I think this is like a month old now. Downloads coming in about how we do things. Primary focus of embodied energy, removal of distraction, streamlining energy of focus, singular vision. We must be able to eliminate multitasking as much as possible. Streamlines. Yeah, we kept talking about that. Now I'm looking up at the at the songs from last week. I keep making these lists of songs to add to our playlist. And the one at the top of the list, because I'll take them off once I add them to the playlist. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. No message could have been any clearer. If you want to make the dun, the dun, dun, dun. Okay? We got to do this Virgo homework, you guys. And I'll tell you what. A good example. I was going to tell you. I was like, here's a piece of my South Node homework. Is that the routine and that which I was working out, it was just becoming very taxing on my body. I'm so beautiful. I was going to say I'm so thankful for this very beautiful health journey that I've been on. It's been amazing. I've learned a lot about like what I can really do, and discipline. And I've literally, and it's been almost like genuinely like 7 years now of, losing a lot of weight off my body, shedding a lot of energy, building up my body in different ways, at times being smaller than I'd even been in high school, at times, being very cardio active, running, meeting accomplishments and goals, 5K, all these things, right? Training. And then this turned into learning how I can rebuild my body and grow muscle, and learning how good like it feels to lift and sometimes push heavy weight, and my mental health and all these things was really great. But an example here is like how I'm trying to reincorporate like how weightlifting is. I've had injuries. We've had things that came up last year, like concussion things. And I know, what a crazy journey, right? I noticed changes in my immune system, where, for example, I used to be doing different fasting routines. Now my body is changing in this season of my life, and I need to eat differently. There's all these different things, right? My immune system is changing. We have cards already coming out on the table. But listen, we all have our different body of South Node in Virgo, and kind of Virgo style homework. And then, of course, we have the beautiful caveat of that North Node and all this Pisces energy that just encourages you to trust your soul, let the journey unfurl before you, and, the whole slowing down and kind of being receptive. It's kind of like in my journey of saying, like, if you're running to the point, or if you're lifting and pushing like progressive weight load or whatever, I mean, like, I'm not trying to be beefy. Like, if you saw me, I wouldn't, love and light, everyone's going to do things the way that they love to do them. It's no judgment to anyone. I'm only talking about myself, right? So respectfully, I love you so much, but like, don't project onto that. Okay. I'm saying for myself, I'm not really trying to like work to the point I have no neck and I'm beefed up. It's not like that. But, when you have an injury and you feel that your joints are changing, and maybe you need a little more calisthenics, or you need more days where you do yoga stretching, or you incorporate smaller weights at different intervals. Like, it's just so hard to change a routine. But it is funny. It made me think of that because, like, this morning I got up, and I do still incorporate days where I only focus on weights. But I'm having to change the whole way that I go about it. It's been very different than what I've literally probably been doing for about 3 years with weights now. And so, oh guys, I didn't know that sound was so loud. Sorry. Our calendars, right? Ever notifying us of the things to do. But there's the World card. But sometimes, what's the other card that fell out? The World and the Two of Swords, right? We have to come to a peaceful mind state where we walk through portals and we understand that although things, be they patterns of thinking, that's your ownership. Even we have to say, because the Two of Swords is a mental card, and before it, it's always prefaced by the Ace. Sometimes the Ace is oh my gosh, I just found out. Oh my gosh, I just got a piece of communication. And this may very well be occurring already. Sometimes Spirit has a unique way, your higher self, your team, your ancestors has a unique way of dropping you a bit or a nugget or a piece or something in a Mercury retrograde. But sometimes it's the opposite. And sometimes you got to come out of this eclipse portal. And I say come out, but look, I'm going to tell you straight up. Eclipse portals ripple out for months. That's just the nature of how it goes. Although I am looking forward to this new moon. I am so much. But there's a place where the Ace of Swords often is misinterpreted because that people miss looking at the card itself. There's not a defensive stance. No one is on guard, so to speak, right? It's a peaceful, she's sitting down. She's not even standing up. Why am I hearing stand on business? I'm not even standing. I'm sitting. That's the energy I'm getting. It's a peaceful mindset. The Two of Swords actually really gives the way that I'm feeling into this, partnered with the World card, is actually I'm really at peace. Actually, 3 birds could whisper different things in my ear right now, but I'm really just kind of completing a lot of cycles for myself. And I'm very mindful in my daily routine, and actually I'm good. You may find yourself coming out of these portals, this eclipse portal. This could also be a window of you. I was just thinking, let me cover her. Let me put her down because I don't want to get flagged. It's very faint, but just in case. But you guys see it was a World card. So we'll kind of park us here, but I don't want to zoom in too much. I will say if you have fixed sign placements, obviously they're very prevalent on the World card, Aquarius, Leo, Taurus, Scorpio. Interesting because we are going to have Venus going into Taurus at the end of the month. So perhaps any of those signs are notable for you, but they don't have to be. But it's this energy of kind of we are going to be feeling anxiety because when we go through growth moments like this, especially Aries is a cardinal season. It's a world point season. When we get into the cardinal signs, it's always this, we're opening up into the new things. And we're going to feel anxiety because when you get into this energy, and I have never looked out across the window that's above my altar and seen a cat literally just standing clear as day. Maybe someone has a cat or you resonate. I don't know. I've seen a lot of birds and a lot of different things out that window, but that cat was just chilling. Maybe that's a message. Maybe someone has a cat or they saw a cat today, or you will see something and it'll be a sign, but for whoever that's for. There's kind of a settling into that peaceful mindfulness that we keep coming back to, right? But there's also an energy of trust. You ever think about in the World card, she's literally just floating. And I think when we get to, when energy like this comes into play for us, there is going to be anxiety because you're at a precipice of where, if you're really practicing, right, the World card, I'm embracing all of this new awareness that I've come into. I'm doing the South Node in Virgo body of homework. Yes, I'm sitting with my divine higher self. I'm connecting to oneness of all that is. Yes, very Pisces as well. But I'm saying we're talking about the Virgo homework. It's going to be uncomfortable because the real work is taking responsibility of, I'm not going to let X, Y, and Z trigger me anymore because it really throws me out of the whole alignment of my day. I'm also going to practice more mindful embodiment, which requires me to have a lot of faith and trust. If something needs to be brought forth to me, I'll be made aware of it. I don't have to go be on guard all the time. This message keeps coming through in different collective, when we connect and tap in together, this message keeps coming through of like, what is it? Like just being on defense, defensiveness. I keep hearing on guard, but I'm hearing it also like you're on guard. We don't need to be doing that. It's really tough. It's a survival. It's a fight or flight mode. And whether you're fawning or whether you're practicing avoidant tendencies, whatever the case may be, it's not good for your nervous system. We're not going to be able to let the deluge happen like we've been talking about and let our nervous systems kind of calm down and regulate. It's almost like the moon card that we've talked about before where she's just floating. You're allowing your consciousness to upgrade. And we say a lot of these words in like a mystic kind of spiritual way, but to really nail down in a psychological or in a real world implementation of what they mean, right? Because Saturn is in Aries. Saturn's going to say we need sustainability before we hit the gas. We need a good plan before we hit the gas. I'm so excited for us to all get into this new body of learning or into this new lifestyle habit or into this new career. These things are going to be unfolding and they're wonderful. They're beautiful. But we need to make sure we have our mind really also needs to be in a state of calm, like peaceful groundedness. And yes, I do dare say that considering everything that is going on, right? Because the more that we project and latch onto that, the more we amplify whatever we are latching onto, you see? So if you're like me and you're having these days and you're like, okay, for example, this morning, it was great. Actually, I had a great workout, great morning. I kind of did the thing that I love to do where I spend some time walking, being in nature. I've told you before, the gym has like this beautiful trail because they have a camp that goes off back. Anyway, access to nature, getting some sunlight. I was getting back to doing tapping my chest, my somatic body tapping. It felt really good. But at the same time, I knew that I was implementing some things that were really great for me because I'm also fighting the gunk. And so I was like, yeah, let's get these lymphatic systems draining. You know what I mean? Let's get the mucus flowing. It was good. But then also I have to know that I'm not going to go into the gym and then once again be tempted to either shame myself because I'm not doing those type of weights anymore or, I don't know. I'm giving you my example, but of course your blanks may be different that you're filling in. And sometimes I ain't even gonna lie to you, family, like that shit is hard. That shit is hard because at the same time, what I encourage you to do with the world card showing up, and we're talking about doing this Virgo homework, part of that homework is what would be the duality of shaming yourself through like a lens of toxic perfectionism. The duality would be the world card. I'm not going to keep picking it up though. The world card would say, damn, can we just celebrate? Like, can you just look back? Maybe you go back to 2024, or maybe you go back and you think about these eclipse portals. And again, we ran through those whole timelines the other day. You can definitely check that out. How long have we been working with this eclipse energy in Virgo and Pisces? If it helps you, or maybe you want to do a little journal sesh with yourself or whatever to see what might come through. Sometimes when you connect the dots and you're having those reflective and we don't do this every single day, you know what I mean? Because then it becomes dogmatic and then you start looking for ways to punish yourself and feel like you're not good enough. But occasionally you say, yeah, you know what? Maybe there's a message for me. You connect some dots and you kind of see, in the whole framework of my little, South Node or Virgo homework was like connecting the dots for me was realizing, tracing back to the point in the year where I'd had like a knee injury and then doing some therapy, sports therapy with someone. Excuse me. How does this feel? Okay. What are you doing in these routines? And then together, as we reflected, we connected dots and we kind of saw a pattern that was kind of taking it downhill, leading to more injuries, more pain. And then we shift. We find a different pattern that works great for us and kind of helps us continue to grow, but not through pain. You know what I'm saying? So just as my own personal example, if you're coming to a place, it's inevitable. I'm just going to tell you, yesterday, okay, It felt like a lot of grief. I was crying. I felt like every time I turned around, I was getting these things that were flushing up. That's okay. That's a part of the purge of it, and I would encourage you to, don't hold on too tightly to those moments. Just let them move through you. Excuse me. I thought I was going to sneeze, you guys. Let them move through you. And then we can also kind of pull up aside those moments and congratulate ourselves. The World card is really, I just love to see it when we're literally about to hit this turning point of going through this new moon. There's the portal, practicing mindfulness. I love to see both of these cards, really. You got to congratulate yourself. It's also okay. Do you know, sometimes it's okay to be like, the World card sometimes will be like, okay, I'm not quite there. I've got a few more, T's to cross and I's to dot. I've got a few more things, but I know how hard I've been working. Can you please make time to celebrate yourself? Excuse me. Did you know that sometimes in your manifestation or your vision or your goal setting work, whatever type of verbs you like to use there, or maybe just in your growth journey of experiencing new things, however you look at it, I feel that as containers for energy and portals where the universe allows us to manifest things into this dimensional realm, because we chose to incarnate to do all these different things, missions, soul contracts, whatever you call them. If you're constantly like visioning, achieving, completing tasks, doing the things, but you're never really celebrating the fruitfulness of it all, practicing gratitude, allowing yourself to have a treat yourself or have a joyful day where you go celebrate or something, it looks different for all of us. We all do that in different ways. It's almost like my perspective sometimes is like, the universe would be like a kid who's going to keep coming to you, showing you their achievements, and you don't ever celebrate them. The universe is going to be like, why would we keep sending stuff your way? You really just don't seem to be grateful for it. So I hope that you wouldn't get yourself caught up in, I know we're going to be feeling anxiety right now. And maybe, again, spirit and our team and higher self, because we're in a collective here. We're in a soul family here. You know how I feel about the age of Aquarius. Your soul family is going to be so important because we're going to be shifting and moving and connecting and disconnecting and reconnecting. The energy is going to get very liquid and plasmic. So you got to be able to vibe, find your tribe, and have people to support and encourage you, okay? Wow, look at the Five of Pentacles coming out. The Five of Pentacles is what I always call when one door closes, three more are open. But like if you just keep staring at the closed door, you ain't ever going to see the options that are before you. It kind of gives like looking back at things is just done. And I'm always going to tell you, we work on the hard truths over here. We work on the self-responsibility. We always embrace the fact that while a lot of people do read on other people and who's saying what and who's doing what and all that stuff is really outside of you. The better you get at doing your own personal work, celebrating your own personal journey, and working on yourself from the inside out. Okay. It just changes your perspective on stuff. So it's almost this energy of dwelling on things that used to be, when you really want to be in a mental state of peaceful mindfulness, I mean, honestly, Five of Pentacles with the Two of Swords in the world can be, I've already completed and went through the whole other doorway. I'm not even back there anymore. Someone may want to try to reattach and relatch out of a fear-based or a mindset of lack, but we're not even worrying about all that. Also what fell out too was the Death card and the Hanged One, the Hanged Man, which gives like Neptune energy, Scorpio energy. It gives this whole like, you've done the shadow work of embracing the things that need to go. And I'm always going to encourage you because you're going to move into a time where you're kind of freeing yourself from excessive over worry and anxiety. Please allow those cycles. Okay, again, I don't want to keep picking up that card, but please allow those cycles to complete, you see, because if not, there's not going to be room for those new downloads. Remember, we talked about the embodiment not only of your physical body, but your different auric, psychic, dreaming, astral bodies. There's so many things being downloaded and seeded. And remember, the packages we long to unpack. We want to move into the new ways of being and thinking and setting up new routines and being open to embrace that. But if there is constantly the going back in, the lingering, the limerence, the damn, I didn't even see that there was 5 lights sitting there. You know, it's like the in the back, and you keep turning around and Spirit's like, hello, hey, tapping you, hey, but you're not even hearing it because you're looking at this door and you're just like, it's closed. Yeah. But really we can choose, actually, because we have free will, to say I'm in a mindful state of peacefulness, because honestly, none of the stuff that's not even here or happening anymore is even real. But I'm tricking my own mind when I keep going back to thinking about old patterns, to analysis paralysis, when really I can choose to kind of step through. And we have this whole doorway metaphor developing here, a portal, an eclipse portal, a portal into a whole new sabbatical season like spring equinox. A portal, a doorway, an entry, if you will, into whole new timelines unfolding. Saturn in Aries, Neptune in Aries, right? Spring equinox is really beautiful, organic Gaia's grid. That's her start of her year. So you could really say essentially spring being like the new year of Earth, right? We have all of these doors waiting to be opened ahead of us, to do things differently, to experience things differently, right? So we want to embrace that. But I did feel really called, and it's the way they fell out on the table, that the Death card and the Hanged Man are kind of down here. We always teach in occulted mysticism too that, like, the Hanged Man, the Neptune energy, you could even connect it. Neptune rules Pisces, and it's this watery shadow energy. And of course we say shadow and death, Scorpio, that's the 8th house of the shadow and maybe the work of the roots that you've been going through, okay? We want to let that go, or it's going to block the portals, you see. But we teach about the Hangman is that there used to be this whole age of Pisces notion that one must sacrifice the self. But all of that is dead in the age of Aquarius. Is death to that. We're not sacrificing nobody on no altar for nobody else. There's not no martyrdom. It's none of that. The age of Aquarius is about embracing your own unique individual authenticity. It's about connection, but the connection needs to be in alignment with who you are and what you've been called to be. It is about community and humanitarianism, but it's about each individual equal, important, needed, plugged in together, liquid, plasmic, flowing, power, dynamics, and energy being redispersed all across the human collective. You know what I'm saying? The Hangman then began to evolve into this whole, you know what, let's release guilt. There could be guilt about, the way that you treated yourself. You could feel shame. We could connect, why do you have guilt? Well, because I felt ashamed of X, Y, and Z happen. And perhaps you did the shadow work of learning to understand that it wasn't your fault. I'm seeing, what's the movie? Oh, shoot, y'all. What's the movie? Robin Williams and... Dang, they're in Boston. You know what I'm talking about? I cannot believe I'm blanking. And, he keeps hugging him and he's like, don't fuck with me, man. And he's like, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's this whole release of guilt. So with the Hanged Man and with death coming out below this other set of 3 cards, significantly below the world, it kind of, let me scooch us down so you can see. Yeah. It kind of gives this energy of like, you've got to let the guilt of things go. We kind of hung on the gallows, you know what I'm saying? And that's what limerence will sometimes take you back to in timelines and versions of yourself, especially because you can't control versions of other people. And you also have zero control of what they're going to bring to the table any given day. The only thing is dealing with your own perception, your own reactions. We do need to experience and not repress or depress our own emotions, but we still choose how we act on them. You know what I'm saying? I definitely think the harder Virgo homework, I think the easy surface level Virgo, South Node. Okay, what's toxic? What needs to go? What am I still repeating that's not helping me? Is it my body? Is it my career? Is it my job? Is it the connections of my platonic friends? Is it a long-term relationship? All those blanks look different. But you know what all of those blanks trace back to and have in common? And this is why the work is hard. And to be dead ass honest with you, this is why a lot of people don't do it and they don't stick with it. Is because at the end of the day, you look in the mirror. It's all there. You know what I'm saying? And we can do cord cutting work. We can do banishing. We can cleanse and cleanse and cleanse. And we can meditate and say, taking it this away and cutting this out and da-da-da-da-da. But if we're not addressing certain behavioral patterns, for example, it's like this moment where you realize, wow, I think I have a lot of patterns of thinking or over-obsessing or staying in a wounded version of my childhood self that's not healthy for me. I think maybe I'm projecting triggers everywhere and the mood that I carry and the perspective I have, I'm giving that power away to too many people and outside influences, Maybe I'm not executing certain goals and certain changes. Maybe I'm not able to really get consistent on changing that choice of that habit each day or releasing that thing so that I can change a choice or a habit each day. Behavioral pattern analysis, I'm telling you. Cognitive therapies can really help with that. Just as a side note, I think meditation is beautiful. But sometimes, for example, like it comes down to, I just got to be real with myself. Like I'm not disciplining myself and paying attention to my sleep routines. And I'm not functioning every day like I want to. Or, why do I keep saying that I'm going to try to tweak some things in the fuel and the foods and the hydrations that I put into my body, and I'm just not changing that? Those are hard. It's much harder work. But it's the core of like the alchemical path is that you look at yourself and you be with self, And that requires you to, number one, you don't want to keep looking back. Okay. Again, you got to learn, okay? Reflection, behavioral pattern analysis, understanding why you make choices, self-awareness. Those are great. Okay, but you don't want to turn those into limerence, living in the past, which then can quickly spiral into your brain doesn't remember that it's not in that timeline anymore. You're still reprogramming old emotional spaces. It's like, what do they say? There's that thing about going into old rooms of the house. The house isn't there anymore. Okay, so some doors we just bet. The door is closed. It's closed. It's closed. And then you can turn around and walk forward. You can get some sort of mental peace here. You see, you come and take a break. You're not in an on-guard stance. You're sitting peacefully. What is that peacefulness? What's that mindfulness look like to you? Maybe it looks like journaling a lot of things out, talking, maybe getting a spiritual buddy, a reader, a bestie, a teacher, taking some sort of course, self-reflective work, you know what I'm saying, in a healthy setting. And accountability with someone helps. That's why therapy is so great. Sometimes it's not like, I think people will say, let's use therapy as an example. Well, I don't find it very helpful, okay? I'm just saying things over. Well, you're not, but what you're doing is you're accountable to someone and you show up and you work through it. It's not, sometimes we don't always have these grand, amazing epiphany. Well, sometimes we do, though. You know what I mean? Just like meeting with your cards on the same days every week and allowing yourself the open automatic writing type of space to connect with your intuition. Maybe you've committed to writing your dreams down. Whatever the case is, these are all modalities that help us kind of clear the gunk, release the stagnant frequencies, release the old timelines, move through these portals complete. Don't miss the whole celebration too. Again, I'm being drawn down to the death card. If you live in the shadow and the root work and the limerence and it becomes unhealthy for too long, you're not actually going through that portal. You know what I'm saying? And I know because I've been through dark nights of the soul. Friend, child, he, she, them, they. I love you all so much. I have so been there, dying those deaths, and I'm telling you, I know you're looking in the mirror and you're like, well, okay, well, who, how do I rebirth this whole self? You know, X, Y, and Z has been about me and my identity for so long, or for so long I told my story or was told this story, or maybe you were in a very damaging, I don't want to put out labels because I don't know your relationship. I am not your clinical therapist, you know, X, Y, and Z. I got to put those out there. But sometimes maybe you realize, damn, this person projected X, Y, and Z on me for a long time, and I need to take responsibility that I allowed that. And now it's time to rebirth myself. But that stuff takes trust. It takes, you know, we love to talk about some Indiana Jones leaping over here. You know, it's a 10-year. We're getting to that spring equinox point where we would love to see that we're getting more now into we're still moving through the portal of completion. And I will still stand on that and say this year is all about, it's as much as about completion as it is about the new beginnings. Absolutely. But I hope we begin to kind of embark into this place where we get more into working with the magician. We get more into, we've got the 0 of the Fool, we've got the Magician, the 1 plus the 0 equals the 10, but it also brings us back to the 1, you see. The Death card is also giving me this energy, and it's like, you know, you understand that when you just say, I'm just letting that shit go, man. And what does that mean to you? Does that mean I'm choosing not to react to that anymore? Please make sure, I don't want to forget to, please make sure that you're celebrating, right? Maybe right now, I don't know, Spirit is drawing me back here. Maybe right now you're extra focused on positive affirmations. You're writing a lot of, you know, we love to do that beautiful exercise with petitions where you write thankfulness and gratitude for things that haven't even shown up yet. Now, listen, you better be careful when you start fucking around with that level work because, ooh, the universe and your higher self, your ancestors be partnering together and they will blow your socks off for real. I've tested, I've tried it 100 times 100 has never failed me. But I'm saying maybe that's some practice that you need right now. You're writing affirmations and thanking ahead of time or things that have yet to come. And then boom, let me tell you, you start pairing some oils on your body and saying those things to yourself in the mirror, lighting your candles, going out, being in the sunshine, thanking the beautiful universe for how abundantly you're going to be blessed and not even putting huge stipulations on how that's going to happen. I'm telling you, you're gonna float up off this tree with your foot unbound so fast. And I'm not saying it was bad that you were there. I mean, even Odin in his story, hell, he gave a whole eye to get the wisdom of the runes, you know. But it's a precipice. I think we're still doing the crossing the bridge work. We've talked about that, where you're at a big ending, you're at an in-between transition, but really, really, really leaning into and trusting that things got to go. They got to go. And I'm not just talking about cord cutting 3 more times and talking about I'm going to banish that person or this thing out of my life. I'm talking about you sitting with you and being like, what's the pattern that gravitated it towards me or I towards it or them in the first place? How about we banish that? That's tricky work. You know what I mean? Spirit is reminding me of those touch points, those tools, those bracelets, those mists, you know. I got my own white water over here. And sometimes I'll just be misting. You know what? Ooh, cleanse it and clear it, Spirit. We're not doing it today. Ooh, can we get a t-shirt? Can we get merch? No, I don't really do merch, but look, I would wear a hoodie that said cleanse it and clear it, Spirit. Hello. Clear it down the back. We're going to get a shirt that says clear it down the back. Cleanse it and clear it, Spirit. Okay. Clear it in the third eye. Get it out. That's not where we're going today. I'm not choosing those thinking patterns today. Does that mean that you shame yourself and dogmatically punish yourself because you felt anxiety? No, because the grief grief is tricky, okay? Because that's one of those things that when we love deeply, grief is just what comes along with the absence of that, and in the love is just continuing. So grief, it kind of deserves its own conversation, but I don't want us, do you feel rage? Are you angry? Are you frustrated? You know, are you having anxiety because it shouldn't be this hard to be a human? Sure, it's all valid. But then when you do your breath work and you pop yourself with your little bracelet and say, let me come back to my body. What am I doing in my everyday routine, in my spiritual, mental health, emotional well-being, hygiene? How am I reprogramming my mind in the way that I choose to talk to myself? In what hold on, because this one's tricky. In what I allow myself to respond to. And I'll agree with you. Sometimes you'd be like, look, I done everything up, down, all around the world, jumped in circles, and I was just like, I can't be around this person. I love that for you. Get that clarity and then do what you need to do. But I'm talking about on the greater whole. We like to talk about life when we incarnate in these human embodiments, as we've chosen to do. We are divinely sovereign, yes, but this plane of energy and the density of it still works a certain way. It's really 80-20. The 80% of the time, those micro daily habits, the small good things you do, the things that you choose in little ways to reprogram and how you talk to yourself, what kind of choices that you make. Spirit is reminding me of the whole thing of like cognitive therapy and reprogramming mental patterns. Because we're going to have Uranus and Gemini in like April too. So I'm telling you, boom, so much things are going to come in through the crown. It's going to be very mercurial. It's going to be very inspirational. All these wonderful things. But I'm saying, what is it? The whole thing is like 21 days or more to really get a new pattern locked in. And then this like X amount of time after that to really solidify a neuro pathway. Going back to my part of my own, like I said, my Virgo homework is like, I think it took me like, X amount of years to reprogram and repattern the way that I chose foods and ate and hydrated and moved my body, and then X amount of time learning about weights. And I'm not only talking about, because we've already talked about the embodiment, like the frequency. Let's say, for example, let's switch it up. You're in a place where you want to tap into your dreams more. You want to strengthen your intuition. You feel that you have a gift, and so you're taking a spiritual class. I mean, any routine, any pattern you want to learn to repeat will amplify and change the way you experience your life every day. But I mean, you got to be consistent with it. You know what I'm saying? I am still thinking about the fact that Mars, I mean, Mars still being in Pisces, I am going to say it's an interesting backdrop of moving into all of this new energy that's unfolding around spring equinox time, this coming new moon, Mercury stationing direct. Mars in Pisces, though, is not like, yes, I'll say traditionally, no, he's not comfortable there, but that's okay. There's this whole idea of like, we really actually don't have to force stuff. We really can trust. It's like this inner direction, this inner compass, and how we trust that, right? So I will say, if you are dealing with anxiety right now, if you're dealing with, it's interesting being in this embodiment of a human experience in this incarnation that we chose, right? It's interesting because you're going to feel some things and move through some things. And to be quite honest with you, may not have control over why you're feeling it that day. I mean, sometimes we do, right? If we feel like we are practicing the knowing of ourselves, sometimes we do. And then sometimes we don't, like, dang, I'm just feeling full of anxiety. That's okay. Because sometimes we're such energetic, ethereal beings as well, is that the whole collective tone of energy will influence us too. But we choose, okay, do I want to like pick this up and carry it in my bag with me all day and define it as a part of my energy of the day? What's that whole practice like? Is this mine or is this something else? Do I need to say, you know what, that's okay. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to do my box breathing. And as I'm working on my mental reprogramming and learning myself, I'm going to tell myself that actually doesn't belong to me. How did my day start out? What do we call those? Yeah, we've talked about that before too. In therapy, we call those reset points. We do have to check in with ourselves and just trust ourselves and trust that we are being divinely guided too, It's inevitable. I mean, the death card on the table, it's inevitable. Nothing new can be reborn. New things cannot grow. New timelines cannot flourish. New ways of humans learning to be human without all this pain and suffering. we why am I hearing a holding pattern? I'm looking at the Hangman and thinking about, I'm hearing a holding pattern. The Death card on the table is like, reframing the way, is it Chris Ann? You know it is. I always be seeing her. I see her card so much in my mind. I think Chris Ann actually has, in the Light Seers Tarot, it says death and rebirth, like literally on her card, because it's such a good reminder. It's an emergence season. But you don't emerge from what, now I'm seeing a lotus flower. The lotus has to actually go down and feed on the mud before, wow, it comes up. Everybody's like, it's a beautiful, oh, it's a spiritual flower, so beautiful, so highly revered, but it has to actually spend X amount of time down in the mud. There's definitely a great energy today, and it naturally creates anxiety, which if you don't, if you don't cultivate your spiritual, your emotional, your mental health, your good energy hygiene, if you're not working and cultivating that in a healthy way, anxiety will definitely multiply and become fear, and then worry, and then you get stuck in that loop. You know what I'm saying? So it's really this message of saying, death and the Hanged Man underneath the World card is just like, look, so many of these things that we keep getting pulled back to, the plot twist is they've already lost all their energy. The only thing that keeps happening is that we're blocking the flow of more inspiration, more positive frequencies, more tendency to lean into rebirth and acceptance. And then it takes us to a place where we can evolve, right? What are we giving into that's gaining momentum? We don't want to be pouring into dead versions of ourselves, dead timelines. I'm seeing like a scarecrow out in a field, and like they're just picking it, and it's like, it almost gives me, Spirit is showing me this image of how, people, let's say we're in like a sci-fi movie and like they thought they were living this whole life, but then boom, they wake up. What's that thing? Was it the Silos, those books that they turned into a TV show? And the whole time they didn't realize like they are living in this whole thing underground. It was never even real. They're not even in a real timeline anymore. It was all cultivated. And like, I think it's been a while, it's been a couple years, but I think I read the books more, the guy who started writing this whole series, than I saw whoever made a TV show of it. But it's this whole idea of like, even the stuff on the screens, with the exception of like one window, like none of it was real. And I think sometimes we do that because we forget how quantum and how energetic and how ethereal we are, that we can be projecting into old patterns, old timelines, old versions of ourselves, a traumatized story, it's like a broken projector. I'm seeing, and you know how, like, is it 8mm? It's that looping of film, that film sound, but the film street is like broken. You're seeing a picture. It's like you're pouring into this thing, but it's not real. Whoever may resonate with that. Maybe you're realizing that whole times like this in the collective psyche, on the micro in your own life and the macro of the human collective, can be so jarring, because we'll have these clarity moments when we go through so much release. You drop down off this tree and you might be like, what the fuck do you mean I was upside down the whole time? And you start looking around and you're like, whoa. And you can either go into a massive shock, and some people may be going through that, hear me out, because like they may not have just had any awareness before. Now it's kind of like all of this Pluto and Aquarius is going to keep disclosing and disclosing and disclosing and letting people know and letting people see, because now is going to be the time of no more illusion, because we're wrapping up. We're done with the age of Pisces. Done to the down to the last T and the last drop. I'm hearing it like this. And it's going to ripple out to the summer and probably really just kind of wane off into the remainder throughout the year in moments and in cycles, because, the North Node will still be in Pisces. But I think when the North Node goes into Aquarius, we'll feel a very like palpable shift of clarity. But sometimes you have these big moments. Death. Okay, the World. Can I cover her? Maybe we can do her like this, okay? The world with the Hangman and the Death card is like, I came back into my body, my light body. Remember, we were like, beam me up, Scotty. I came back down to my light body, and then I said, okay, wow, I've been looking for you. There you are. Oh my gosh, there you are. Wow, we're going to do all these things together. And then you kind of have a moment, and Five of Pentacles, Two of Swords, and you're just like, dang. And you kind of get such an expanse of clarity. Maybe you were seeing something the whole time and you're like, whoa, I think I've evolved. And you can even use the term ascended. I don't think it's cringe. Not at all. Get out of here with that. It just depends on how you look at it. Your perspective, your shift, sometimes you jump up. You know how we talk about the tiers, okay? You're going around on the labyrinth, you're climbing the mountain, you go up from tier 20 and you're like, whoa, I'm on 25. And sometimes it's waking up from a dream. That's very, hello, it's Aries season. You hear the birds outside the window and you go, okay, I think maybe I was seeing a lot of that wrong. Or I realized in that relationship pattern for many years, was I projecting X, Y, and Z too? That's harder. It's easier for people to just cut a cord or do a routine. And I'm not saying, because look, there's places for those things, but there's also places for understanding a lot of alchemy is happening within you. You know what I'm saying? Or sometimes you look back at a whole job and you go, ooh, spirit saved me from something, my higher self. I see why. There goes that pattern recognition again. You know what I'm saying? It is naturally an uncomfortable time, but I want you to know that it's so good and it's preparing us for these things. And I say all the things that I also say to myself, now is the time too, you got to be about your head. We're going to slowly start we'll feel that Aries flame, that kindling, beautiful inner illumination of the fire horse, which again, it's not about super running fast, gas it up. Let's just run, fast, impulsive, impatient. Let's just, because then you can spin off, you know what I'm saying? But you're in your body. And you're like, okay, I'm seeing the newness here. Okay, I know maybe shit got a little bit morbid there, shit got a little crazy, you know what I'm talking about? But hey, here we are, we're waking up, we're kindling, and we're opening into this birthing season. I actually feel called not to pull from the Ostara Oracle, but to pull from the Imbolc Oracle. Child, I said Imbolc. To pull from the Imbolc Oracle. This is what I call, this is very like Aquarius Pisces energy for me. It always gives me that energy. That's why, even though the other ones have a nice, beautiful little stack over here, organized by the seasons, this one always stays out for me because I really resonate with all my Aquarius energy. But Spirit is guiding me towards this to close the message. And I think it's intended to be a message of encouragement, okay, of peacefulness. Get those touch points into your day, okay? Do you need to burn your Palo Santo? Do you got that spray bottle? If you need a white water mist, I have them marked down to sale prices right now. Shoot me an email. Whoa, that card down there jumped out my hand. Okay, the tools are there. They're also super easy to craft for yourself or to just carry a gemstone in your pocket. Maybe you got you see my little quartz crystal owl. We're going to have an owl over here. I don't know if you can't see his detail when he's not in the sunlight, but maybe you have a gemstone and you rub it as a touch point in your day. Let's see what this card is, y'all, that just about damn near flew out my hand. Okay, it's so good. Yo, listen, look at your higher self just guiding you. Look at your light connecting. This could be angelic frequencies. You could resonate with, what was it? Archangel Michael was out. Look at that. And it's blue too, is it not? With a moon in the center of the chest. You see that? And this little, I don't know, in this deck, it is like a little wolf, is like a little fox, maybe. It could be a dog. It always gives me this fool energy. Don't forget, we talked about celebration and honoring yourself and everything that you've done. That's beautiful feedback loops that we put into the collective frequency too. Look, spiritual guides, angelic guides, your multidimensional higher self. Aquarius energy, pole star, North Star is coming through. What is the North Star rune, you guys? Hold on. Is it Tiwaz? The pole star. Is it Tiwaz? Let me see. There may be a message here for us. Yeah. Tiwaz. Oh, what are the chances? Because there's a whole teaching connected to Tiwaz, which is about Polaris, the North Star, protection, success, this pillar that like supports you in the sky, the world pillar. They used to call like a certain connection to some of these points in the stars when they used to use them for navigation. They would call them pillars. That's interesting because we have the world card here too. But it's also this energy of like sacrifice. And we just talked about the hanged man, the releasing the guilt energy. Tiwaz, bravery, unwavering conviction. As long as your heart remains true and your cause is just, your guidance by the stars and your victory will be assured. Ooh, I love that. I love that. Tiwaz stems from the Proto-Indo-European word Dewos. I think it's spelled Deywos, Dewos, meaning celestial or shining one. Wow. Okay, let's read the card. Y'all know we already had an hour, but that's okay. We got to lock in together. And these are timeless readings, so you will see it when you need to see it. Angelica. I actually have an Angelica tincture over there on my altar right now. I work with Angelica. I put it in water. I put it in spiritual baths. Angelica is amazing. The bells have rung, chiming far and near. Underneath feathered wings, my dear, you have nothing to fear. Look at that. The only thing to fear is fear itself, and not us talking about anxiety. I know. Listen, hold my hand at the astral coffee tables. Don't let yourself get fucked up in believing that it's not what is good, and there's so much to teach. There's so much to create. There's so much to be birthed, okay? And the anxiety is there because it's a period of time that's unknown. And I damn near say, and I don't. I was going to say I hesitate to say. I don't hesitate. Let's be real. I don't really hesitate to say much. I can't lie. Done told you. It's very Aquarius over here. I don't hesitate to say much, okay? It's now more than any of a time, And there's not any comparable times, not that we've been through in hundreds of years. You already know what I'm going to say. I say it all the time. Let's read this card together, friends. I needed this touch point today. And again, like, honestly, I wasn't planning on tapping in. I know we'll probably be talking about the new moon tomorrow, have spring equinox bookings and things like that. Got some little batches of spring goodies to send out to some people. It's good things. Good things are here, okay? When we feel this anxiety, what is it that is pointing you to in your body and your nervous system that you need to release that's not true anymore? It's not true anymore is what I keep hearing. I keep hearing this repetitive, that's not true, okay? Because usually it's not. And your intuition and your higher self is telling you this for a reason, okay? That's a message. Keywords, guardian angel, help is on the way, and protection. And y'all know I stay finding feathers all the time. This is my most recent little feather. I tucked it into my little yoga pants pocket walking the other day. Look. Oh, it's two of them. I didn't even know that one was back there. Can't look it. Just look. When I tell you, it's magical as fuck out there, you guys. You just got to know where to look for it, okay? Listen. Let's read it together. Okay, one more time, Spirit said, the bells have rung, chiming far and near. Underneath feathered wings, my dear, you have nothing to fear. Rest assured that help is on the way and you are safe to move forward. Yes. Ooh, if you don't get through that portal and loose yourself from that tree of death, the Spirit said, help is on the way. What am I hearing? Follow Rafiki. He knows the way. Sana, boop, and he hits you on the head and you're like, where are we going? It's like that though. It is. What's that real? Spirit is showing me, y'all. And it's like God, Goddess, Divine Source, your ancestors, whatever. There's different versions and we love everybody over here. And it's like, take my hand. Hold on. We're not moving yet. And you're like, ugh. And then you take the hand and it's like, move. It's just be like that. Right? You may have experienced some troubles lately, and you're wondering if you're unlucky or what you've done to bring these misfortunes into your life. Listen, Spirit said, underline this. From your perspective, we can cultivate and change that, by the way. From your perspective, it's easy to feel as though the universe is treating you unfairly, but Spirit never sends more than you can handle. While you may not see it, there is always protection and help to hold you up, to carry you to the next leg of your journey. This card brings good news that you are coming to the end of your struggle, so don't give up hope. Stay vigilant as you receive an unexpected helper or a message, right? Because you're sitting over here peaceful. You're not standing up. You're not standing on anything. You're sitting down. It's peaceful over here, right? Maybe you got one of those eye masks. I have one of those. They have beans or lavender in them. You just meditate and chilling, right? Fixing and being mindful in your new daily routines over here, okay? While you may not see it, there is always protection and help to hold you up and carry you on to the next leg of your journey. This card brings good news. You are coming to the end of your struggle, so don't give up hope. Stay vigilant as you may receive an unexpected helper or message that could change everything for you. In the meantime, trust your spiritual support team is removing obstacles for you. And if you're unsure of their contribution to your greatest good, simply ask them, please. Simply ask them to show you a sign and let you know the next correct step towards happiness. Have faith and confidence in your ability to overcome any challenge that is put on your path. Yes, and it is 1:11 on the timer as we complete it. So, child, look, I guess we're just going to be hanging out. We're going to be hanging out and holding on, walking through these portals together. So I hope you take good care of yourself today. I know you'll see this message when it's divinely time for you and you need it the most. Okay, I'm sending you so much love. I'll talk to you soon, okay? Love you. Bye.